Poetry really does capture the inexpressible, and the emotions that you deal with when you're dealing with Alzheimer's. That is one of the things that is hard to just grasp. And so poetry is such a wonderful way to really share that.
Poetry is its own language in a sense. There are no periods, commas. It's its own space, and yet we can still understand so profoundly. And like Alzheimer's has its own language, and we can find a way to connect, just like with poems.
Welcome to the Alz Authors Podcast. We're so glad you found us. We're the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience to light the way for others. I'm Mary Ann Shuko, a registered nurse, author, and dementia daughter.
And I'm Christy Byrne-Yates, a licensed educational psychologist, dementia daughter, Alz author, and coach focused on the sandwich generation. Please join us for bi-weekly episodes with our authors as we talk about their dementia journeys, sharing intimate details and painfully obtained knowledge to help others currently on that path.
We hope these stories offer you comfort and support as we strive to break the silence and stigma surrounding a dementia diagnosis.
May one of our authors speak to your experience.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
Hi, it's Mary Ann. Welcome back to Poetry for the Dementia Journey, Episode 2. This is the replay of our virtual event held on April 18th, 2023. More than 30 poets came to share their Alzheimer's and dementia stories through poetry. What resulted is almost 2 hours of beautiful words and stories read with honesty and grace. Let's get started. Lori Aiden.
Hi there. So I'm an Alzheimer authors as of 2020, or actually 2021. My mom was the person who had Alzheimer's in our family. I was her main caregiver until we had to put her in memory care, and she passed away during COVID. So we missed out on the last 4 years of her, or 4 months of her life. But talking about it, it was horrible. But Renee mentioned journaling, and that's what I did in my I Remember Me book, is I chronicled it on Facebook. And then Felicia mentioned how we miss our mother's voices. And so I had videos of her, and I used QR codes. So I treasure this book, even though others may not. It's my lifeline to my mom. What I'm going to share with you guys today, I do have one poem in here. It's my son's poem that he wrote when my mom died, but I'll read that at the second hour if there's time. What I'm going to share is a little different from what everybody else has been doing. My sister and I wrote children's books about the 3 different stages. So I'm just going to read just a couple of quick ones from the beginning stage, and we use little dragons. So yeah, just something whimsical that because not every family looks alike, So grandma's acting funny. I don't know what is wrong with her. Mommy says she is sick with something called Alzheimer's. And then grandma misplaces things everywhere she goes. Today she can't find her glasses. I giggled and said, they're on your nose. Mm-hmm. I opened the refrigerator to get a bottle of juice. I found grandma's purse between the milk and the fruit. In the middle stage, I wanted to try to make kids understand that it's okay to be angry and sad. So sometimes grandma gets angry and yells. It always makes me sad. Mommy reminds me that grandma loves me, even when she is acting mad. Sometimes grandma says bad words that I'm not allowed to say. Daddy reminds me not to repeat them and to forgive grandma when she's having a bad day. Mealtime is also strange when grandma forgets how to use her spoon. Mommy says that it's okay. We will just serve her finger foods. I giggle sometimes when she pushes her broccoli away. Mommy asks her to take a bite, but grandma pouts and says, no way. And then in the last stage, a couple of them that stood out to me is, my grandma is not a baby, but I'm really, really confused. She has to wear diapers like my baby brother Drew. Mommy said it's important to not call them that. She said grandma is embarrassed, so we call them underpants. And then I'll finish up with this. Sometimes grandma just mumbles or doesn't want to talk. Sometimes she will look at us and sometimes she will not. Mommy says the illness is affecting the inside of her noggin, so we nod and pretend to understand her childlike way of talking. Grandma is getting more tired and needs a lot of rest. For most of the night and the day, she is sleeping in her nest. Grandma is acting funny and she seems a little sicker. I still tell her I love her, even if it's just a whisper.
Thanks so much. Yes, it's very important that we recognize children on the Alzheimer's and dementia journey, and we have many, many children's books in our collection. So if you have children in your life, you might want to take a look at those. Charlie Becker, you're up next.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm one of the grateful poets included in Storms of the Inland Sea. My poem in that book is called At 97, about my mother. The poem I'm reading today is At 98. My mom passed away in 2021 at 99. I don't know why the model ducklings matter so much today. Down preening after swimming, and my mother amazed by their nonchalance. They have us wrapped in another world, instinct. I used to be so hurried, busying, but now, my father gone, mother asking me why she's still around. I realize there's nothing else to do but be, nowhere else to go but here. And ducks with eyes to see sideways as they walk, not looking ahead or back where they've been, but only where they are right now, living fully in this moment. I don't know why my mother can't remember wild ducks anymore flying south from her Watkins Glen childhood, and she can't remember what we had for lunch 5 minutes ago. But today, her instincts from her wheelchair tell my mom to fly in her most migratory daydreams, jet-streamed fantasies of flight, sun and star-gazed faithful leaps across the horizon, patterning prayerful movements, making seasons end or beginning. She longs to intuit what's next, but must wait for my father and fate to guide her next landing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mary Crescenzo,
Yes,
you're up next.
I am an author, the author of the Planet Alzheimer's Guide, and I started my writing career as a poet. I'm going to read, if I may, 2 poems that fit the time allotment, if I may. They are persona poems from my play, Planet A, and I come to this from the perspective of working for 30 years with hundreds of persons living with Alzheimer's and other dementias as a pioneer in the use of arts engagement. So these persona poems that have come into become this play are from my observations and from my imagination, giving voice to those whose path I've crossed. The first one is from a voice of a resident, and her name is Dorothy. My first date bought me a gardenia. We went to a party together. I spent my days as a child in Virginia among blossoms and the procession of farmhands, cotillion balls, and grand marches. And those required hats and gloves, spotless, like the color of cotton in the field. Today, my daughter carries out cardboard boxes filled with my clothes, my baubles, the color of Mardi Gras, and the final bill. If she could have managed, she would have kept me with her in her home, but it was impossible for both of us. Sometimes it simply is, no matter how much someone loves you. It's better this way for both of us. No more bills, no useless guilt, no more suffering for both sides. This day was as inevitable as the tinge of a white flower when it is around for too long. The second one is this is based on my experience as an arts facilitator. It comes at the end of the play, towards the end. On this planet, life is short and living is long. That if we can breathe, we can make someone smile. There are worse smells than urine. One of them is death. In this place, I've learned that even a man in a diaper likes to dance. That a woman will tell you how to brush her hair, even if she doesn't know her own name. Here, I learned the rules of love, greed, and gender that reveal how we got to where we are today. Here, I discover how those outside of these walls are afraid of death and time and loving, convinced that with enough BMWs and Botox, we can live forever. Here, there is no rushing around, no missing the bus, no drunk drivers. Here, the bankers eat lunch with the janitors, and the daughters of the revolution dine with the maids. On this planet, no one has time to snub others. Everyone's too busy keeping others and each other on their feet. On this planet, the birthday cakes are always but bittersweet, and the tea is always flowing, and no one ever says, "Don't cry." Life on this planet is full of expert storytellers, a dying breed of technical advisors for the past, a parallel universe, a looking glass coated in silver, watching you, watching me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Teresa. Or Therese.
Yeah, it's Therese.
Therese.
Another hard name. I'm going to read. I was in Margaret and Jim's anthology, which is just such a wonderful anthology, and so is the reading today. And I'm going to read one of the poems of mine that was in the anthology. And it's also in my book, Frozen Latitudes. My father's cereal. We wake on dry land where the sun works brilliant until a bib is tied about my father's neck. A bowl is placed high upon books, and the largest spoon in the house is set in his hand between two crooked fingers. There is my mother creating this daily scene of events, pouring Cheerios into his bowl, adding the white milk before guiding my father's spoon down into it. She leaves the room then, and there is only myself sitting across from him. I have my own bowl, but can do nothing about it. We are a pair of sorts. I refuse how his face is unreadable, that his brain is damaged to where enough to believe he is eating, and he is blind to the point where he thinks I look fine. When we move as slow water moves barely along because nothing can save us. His spoon floats through air, is empty, treading in space. My thoughts are all garbled as if made of liquid. We remain this way, my father and I, as if underwater. The Cheerios turn soggy, inflating like inner tubes. But it is too late. Soon we will drown in this moment. Day will begin, and there will only be the strange surfacing of our tragic lives. I forgot to say that my father had brain damage when I was 14, so he had active dementia.
Wow. Thank you so much. Alan Byrne?
Hello. So thank you to Margaret for publishing this one of these poems I'm going to read in the great book Storms of the Inland Sea. And both poems are in my first book called No, the Saddest, which is from 2004. But these poems are from what happened to my first wife. She was pregnant and had a ruptured cerebral aneurysm. So she was actually in a coma, and the baby was protected until he was born. And then she came out of the coma, and that was actually the time when she went into very severe dementia and lived another 3 years. So this is a long time ago, but it was traumatic enough that, I'm still traumatized. That's all I can say. And my son does not remember his mother. I think that was a good idea because she was actually psychotic. That's the closest word for her behavior. As much dementia is, it's like psychosis. And so, but these poems are actually written when she was about when she was written in a coma. So it's a long time ago, but here they are. The first one is in the Storms of the Inland Sea. Leaning in. Leaning down and in to approximate you. How close can my face become? I do not ask that you wake up. That story is never ending. Still, as if to kiss your lids, I purse my lips. And this poem is called Boxae. That's spelled Boxae. It's a made-up word, but it kind of sounds like it might be Latin, plural for boxes. Boxae. Another rapid child fills a shoebox up with sand and thinks each grain of voice. This is how it is to talk to you. When I whisper in your ear, this is what hears. An undersleeping window box unlocked. A human echo cave. Ear of Dionysius, stone deaf. Fixed black box who speaks in zero, hears messages to the dead. I hang on to your aside face by tearing off my last nail. Where are you traveling? In place of love, I drip the blood pail. So to not end on a completely difficult note, I just want to say my son is almost 44 years old and he's married and we have a grandchild whose name is Elin and he's cool. He's 2 years old. That's a great age. And thank you again to Alt's authors and to Margaret.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
I may not be able to stay for the whole thing, but this is just a great reading. I really am engrossed by it. Enjoying it means that I enjoy all the things. Enjoying maybe the wrong word, but definitely engrossing. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a great word to describe it. I do want to ask everyone, if your poem is not in Margaret's book, Storms of the Inland Sea, in the chat box, please write where the poem can be found, the name of the book, the name of your poem, if you have a link to it, so that we can put them in the show notes so that people can find them when they listen in to the recordings. Okay. Next up is Kelly Dumar.
Hi, thanks for hosting this, Marianne, and also authors. And I am also indebted to the Storms of the Inland Sea, Margaret Stowowie, and Jim Kokas for including 3 of my poems in that anthology. And I and my siblings were caretakers of both my parents who had dementia. My mother predeceased my father, by 8 years or so. And my father died about 6 years ago of Alzheimer's. And this poem I'm going to read today is from an experience of taking him to the doctor and then going to the pharmacy to get the medicine he needed before taking him home, where he lived in assisted living. Absence. Stay put, I tell my dad, like a parent warning an impulsive child to behave in her absence. I leave the car running, heat blowing, knowing he can't follow me on his blown out knee, even if he forgets why I left him or who I am or when I'll return, and I will not let him freeze in my absence. Coatless into the wind, I cross the lot, halogen lit, past freezing cars parked without passengers, fingers stinging and clutching his prescription for pain. Inside, I follow signs and more signs through a maze of makeup, of medicine, to the rear where I wait and keep waiting while behind the counter, the pharmacist under bright lights is rushing, and then I am too, back toward the exit. But here he comes, limping through the electric door, waving my coat sleeves open like a father tracking a forgetful child, like a father who won't let me freeze. Thank you.
Thank you. Mariana McDonald.
Hi. So glad to be here with you all today. My husband, Ramon Feliciano, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when our children were 3 and 8 years old, and he died 9 years later. So I, in rapid fashion, became both a caregiver and a single parent. I'm going to read 2 poems today. The first is in the famous Storms, and the second is in the mountains near Hialeah, from my collection of the same name. A darkness. There was nothing I could do to stop it. No way to stop the pull of death, the thick sheets of forgetfulness, the mangled neurons, tattered thoughts, the conquered lands of tyrant black. I could not stop the conquest, nor could I hold back death, put forth firm brakes to say just once, just now, remember. In my desperation, I could not speed death, ask haste against applauding misery, a 30-hour day that lived inside a week of 100 days. I could not do it. No matter what my strategy, hope, pray, deny, despise, I was nothing next to it. All my courage paled, my valor sighed against its vibrant force. I'd look into those eyes that once were food and light to me, and saw instead a darkness, terrible, and complete. There was nothing I could do to stop it. The second poem is called The Mountains Near Jayuya. Jayuya is a town in central Puerto Rico where my husband's from. In the mountains near Jayuya, roads twist and zigzag unexpected, leading neophytes to gasp and cross their chests in thanks for light. You taught me how to drive those roads. Always hug the mountainside, rein in speed approaching curves, toot the horn in light staccato. Not a honk, no urban sound mixed with anger and frustration, just a friendly rat-tat-tat acknowledgement and warning. You always drove in Puerto Rico, wheel in hand in Massachusetts. New York City used your skills where I would never dare to drive. California weekend trips to Russian River, Stinson Beach. Always had you at the helm, careful, cautious, ever kind. I never worried as I watched the trees go by, flamboyant and evergreen, palm trees, eucalyptus. Today I took away your keys and hid them.
It's very powerful. Thank you so much. Next is Tony Copeland Parker.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Copeland Parker. I'm caring for my loved one. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at early onset at 53. We've been going through this journey for 9 years. What we did was we became nomads. And I wrote my first book about our travels the first 5.5 years. The poem I'm getting ready to read is from the second book, which I'm working on right now. The title of it is Nomads. I refer to my loved one as Kat. Her name is Catherine. Nomads. Why nomads, you might ask? It's impossible to make it last. She has Alzheimer's, so let her be. She needs routine, can't you see? I like to explore, manage, and travel. So what about me? Nomad is a noun with no fixed residence, whereas I am somewhat hesitant. I like peregrinate, which is a verb since we did most by foot. Over the last 8 years, it took all of our loot. If you were to ask me, I don't give a hoot. Marathons were mostly our fare, but none were ever done on a dare. It was ours to spin as we saw fit. I would do it again, since some were spent on beautiful islands such as St. Kitts. Alzheimer's really does not care. It's not like something you would want to share. Everyone's experience is somewhat different, but I can now assure you that the damage is permanent. I once thought I was going to find the elusive cure. Many companies use that hope as their lure. As the disease progresses, we'll have to settle down, but not until sundown. We used to run when the sun would rise. Now it slow walks hand in hand to no one's surprise. We saw and did so many things she will not always remember, but I would not trade away those memories since they now define her. Her beautiful smile and baby blue eyes sparkle remain, but we all now know it will never be the same. They say Alzheimer's cruel joke is called a long goodbye.
This is,
however,
I like just called my name to see the doctor.
I will never leave her side.
My mother had dementia.
Thank you, Tony. That was lovely.
She started out being diagnosed with primary progressive
next
aphasia.
up is Virginia Pascarelli.
Of language capabilities, sort of like living in Denmark and only speaking English. Of course, it progressed to a more global dementia by the end. This is hard. She passed away almost 12 years ago, and I don't actually like to go back there, which is kind of sad because I kind of lose my mother because I don't
want to think of those years. But while we were going through all this, I had joined an online support group and met someone on there named Susie Kaiser Scarf, and her husband had the same diagnosis, and she taught me a lot. I had a billion questions. I was trying to caregive, 960 miles away from my mother. And I didn't know what to do. So she helped me quite a bit. She eventually said that she was writing a book called Dementia, The Journey Ahead. And then she said, would you write some poems for it? And I think she kind of said she needed them right away. And I really don't know why she asked me. And so I scribbled a poem really quickly and sent it to her. And then I thought, maybe this won't be what she's looking for. So I scribbled down about 5 more. And then it turned out that she used them all in her book. And the book was a real book that got published. And I would rewrite all those poems if I had known that they were going to be in that real book and that I was going to be reading 1 or 2 today. I've changed my mind a couple times, but I think I'm just going to read one of the ones where it's an elementary rhyming poem, but my poems were bits and pieces from everybody that I had heard their stories over the years. I had helped with this online Facebook page. So not spoken exactly in my voice, but some of my experiences. This one's called Laughing. My loved one has dementia. It's not easy to laugh. Nothing seems funny when my life's torn in half. What's funny about silence and losing the way? I can hardly get out of bed at the start of each day. But sometimes I find it, the ability to smile, and it makes life bearable for just a while. He couldn't say I love you, but he still said, damn. He threw his tennis shoes in the garbage can. He became incontinent. I became the queen of poop. He forgot what a spoon was and used a fork in his soup. He came out of the bedroom with a shirt, but no pants. We had to do some hiding because he tasted the plants. Sometimes I laugh, and I don't even know why, but I know if I didn't, all I would do is cry.
So true. So true. Thank you so much. And who do we have up next?
Well, I have written down some names. I'm not sure if they are all readers, but if you're not interested in reading, you can just pass.
Sandra Barris?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, how are you? You can read if you'd like.
I'd love to read.
Okay.
I'm going to read from Storms of the Inland Sea, but the poem first appeared in Prairie Schooner and is in my collection, Ash on Wind. And there are a whole bunch of poems about Alzheimer's because my mother had that. And as everyone is sharing this, it is the way that we work our way through it, our emotions and our understandings of what's going on. And the poem I'm reading is called Adjustment. And I think it's a very popular one because it was reprinted in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Family Caregivers. It also is an Inland Sea, so it's one that's gone in several places. Adjustment. Late afternoon, Mother wanders the corridors of the nursing home. She looks for a way out to a place where she can recognize herself. She's gone from her narrow kitchen, once brightened with pink formica, where she stood for hours in front of her old gas stove, satisfied, stirring stews or soups, roasting chickens. Now she can't boil water, the simplest of tasks. She spends her days wandering through rooms of other patients, filling a shopping bag with treasures, someone's pair of cheap earrings, a borrowed polyester dress 2 sizes too large, a terry cloth robe with tears at the hem. The nurses and I laugh when she says she's tired, having spent the day shopping. But late at night, I can't laugh. when she grows restless again and is walking the corridors. She and the others pass each other again and again, trapped like fish in this waterless bowl. Outside are flowers and a bench in the garden where she's not allowed to go. Each night she rehides her purse in a new spot under her mattress, packs earrings, a dress, and a robe in her pillowcase, ready for her escape. I know she's standing by the phone, but she can't remember anyone's number. And if there's time, I'd love to read one later called Clock Shoe that won an award and is in Prairie Schooner's Best of Prairie Schooner. It's very short, but it's one of the first I wrote. Thank you so much. I love being a part of this and sharing and hearing so many similar stories that resonate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it looks like Sarah's iPad is unmuted. Sarah, do you want to? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do Sarah
Can you hear
first. Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm from England, so I was felt very honoured to join in with you today. I originally was diagnosed with dementia, but it was later downgraded. I'd had a stroke, but I have got mild cognitive impairment, and creative writing has been such a blessing. This poem is called The Caged Bird Sings, and I wrote it about my friend Justin, who had been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in his mid-30s. And I met him at a dementia cafe, and we became good friends. The caged bird sings. Inside the bars, the caged bird sings, not high, mellifluous, haunting song, but internal, joyous harmony. The love of its protector has placed him there, not to stifle and constrain, but to heal and redeem, saved from a captivity of misunderstanding, rejection, sorrow. His broken wing at present restrains, incapacitates, hinders, that the glorious day will arise when, healing complete, he will fly free and soar to unparalleled heights with voice as strong as the cadence of a waterfall in full flow, tumbling, rushing, wild. True freedom comes with a price, and that has been paid in full for him. I've got another one here that I support the Alzheimer's Society, and they have a poetry competition every couple of years. I've never won it, but I usually get a mention. And this one is called They Speak with Another Language. They speak another language when words have slipped away. They speak another language when the music starts to play. He takes her hand and lifts it, beckons her to stand, then with a forceful flourish, he signals to the band. Some music comes like waterfalls, majestic, strong and deep. Some music in brook, refreshing, gentle, meek. The music that they love the best is the kind that starts the thaw of a frozen mind benumbed by dementia's isomer. It warms them from the inside, yet they wear it like a cloak. Together as they slowly waltz, her hand his cheek does stroke. The tempo quickens, changes, giving the mind its wings to fly and soar above all else. A present moment brings a flash of recognition. Light illuminates her brain, and she sees that she is holding her first love once again. I know you. Yes, I know you. I've known you all my life. I am, she falters, hesitates. I am your darling wife.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
And I know that it's later in the evening where you are tonight, so thank you so much for being here. Polly Peterson? Okay.
I'm on vacation. And I still wanted to be with you. I do have a poem, whether I can get to it or not, we'll see. It's a poem that I wrote for my dad. My dad had dementia. He had vascular dementia, and he acted out, and it was a very interesting journey. And I wanted to write a poem for my book, River of Dementia. Okay, so it's Upon Reflection of Dementia. A little snow melt trickle winks and twinkles in the sun, dancing down the packed and piney forest floor. It skips, childlike, to meet the other trickle children running faster on the gentle hill, to jump and splash together over rocky slopes and merge with becks and brooks and rivulets in growing stream, rushing down the incline with abandon till the descent steepens, droplets lose control and fly in the air while falling into deep and darkening pools. The pools reflect the blackened sky and rise to overflowing as the rain joins in and splatters mountain slope and sapling, forest flowers, and all elements beneath the anchor canopy, and lightning stamps the universe. The storm abates, the sun streaks through the clouds, the water shouts with freedom, bounding off cliff's edge, leaps into space, lands unified in icy lake. Floating silently through inlets, armlets, coves, and bays, typical of flowing bodies yielding to the current's pull, tickled by the gilded lakefish, flitting in their emerald home, the drops, united, move past mudslide, tangled trees, and boulders toward the spillways beckoning. The ever-moving water rushes over weir and down the flume, out to the mighty mother river, moving slowly toward the coast. Falls and rapids check the progress, flip and toss, creating chaos. Roiling loss, confusion follow as the river rolls along. Finally, surf of salty ocean meets the coursing surge downstream, and the single little droplet vanishes in open sea. And that's a metaphor for my dad's voyage down the river of dementia.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. Okay, so yes, that's great. I'm so glad you came on your vacation too. That's wonderful.
Yep.
So we're going to start, I guess, the second round now. I believe everybody has had their chance. So we're going to go to Sue for Reese.
Thank you for having me back. And this is so heartwarming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so necessary. This poem is called Caregiver. I wrote it in 1991-92, so it still rings true. Caregiver. I, your loving caregiver, need my own care as well, so I can be your guiding strength, hearing stories you may tell, and follow when you wander, and take the lead at times, answering your many questions, listening to your words and rhymes. I, your loving caregiver, need time alone for me to relieve my stress from worry, so your support I can be. Whether I should write a poem or take a bubble bath or go and see a movie or walk along some path or call a friend and chat a while or a big hug receive or scream and yell from frustration, this time I really need. Please don't misunderstand me. I wear my ribbon with pride. You know you're very special to me, and my love for you I'll not hide. Just one more thought I ponder, a wish I will convey. Through all the trials and tribulations, don't fear. I remain your caregiver today.
Oh, thank you so much. I think a lot of caregivers can resonate with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Felicia Mitchell.
Thank you. I'm going to read a poem I wrote early on when I began witnessing early on my mother's dementia. And it's from a different book, Waltzing with Horses, earlier, and I will put that. And I guess it explains itself, but it's interesting very early on when simple things just fall away. So I remember biscuits. This is how it begins. The long decline, to a time when a sweet potato becomes a novelty and bread crust make a woman marvel at the cleverness of bread. Before milk turns to water or Brussels sprouts to something inedible, biscuits can make as much sense as newsprint. Cooking up a pan is like opening your eyes or shutting the kitchen door at night and locking it before bed and going to sleep in an old cotton gown. There are some things a person can do with her eyes closed, like pray or measure flour or wait 12 minutes for biscuits to rise in a hot oven. And then she can't. She just can't remember some things, not where to write a row of numbers or what to wear to bed or how to put together 5 basic things: flour, salt, baking powder, shortening, and milk. It goes from there. It goes. A person can live without biscuits. Years can pass without numbers that figure or sweet potato souffle. But I wish I could go back in time to a day my mother remembered biscuits and write everything down.
Thank you so much. That's very moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's funny how it all comes back.
Yes. Yeah, words are very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard to live without biscuits.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Just memorializing our loved ones in this way is just mind-boggling. Mary Crescenzo,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I just want to say that I am so honored to be a fellow Al's author. Thank you for this amazing and powerful day. This last poem I'll read is named Minnie, and Minnie was a resident at one of the care communities. I can't understand why visitors seem sad beneath their smiles. Here, I have more people to talk with in a day than I've ever had before. No trips to the doctor. They make house calls here. No pets allowed where I used to live. Here, a house dog visits me every day. There's a beauty parlor. We have church services. We're served meals in the dining room. I heartily ate at my own place. Who wants to eat alone? Here we play games, we paint, we sit in the garden. There's no laundry to wash, no clothes to iron. I don't even need money here. Although I do carry a purse, for tissues, photos, saltines I pick up from the tables. They polish my nails. They help me dress. I can't tell you how many years I went out with my zipper half zipped. I have a boyfriend. The last time I had one of those, I can't even remember. I had 3 husbands, but they don't count. I can't tell you my address, and please don't ask me my name. I'm not even sure where I am, but I just know I'm not alone. And isn't being alone worse than anything else?
I love that. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yes. Marion Cohen.
This poem is from our anthology, Storms.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in that book that I mentioned before of mine. It's called The Last Love Poem for Jeff. Jeff was my first husband. The poem that I think I didn't mention was about my first husband. The Last Love Poem for Jeff. And it's a rhyming poem, by the way. You are my only you, my Winnie the Pooh, my diddly-do. Of all the animals in the zoo, I choose the you, E-W-E. I mean the you.
Of all the trees in Kalamazoo, I choose the U, Y-E-W. I mean the U. Of all the letters old and new, I choose the U. I mean U, Y-O-U. Of all the functions F of U, I choose the identity, just plain you. Ghosts say boo, cows say moo, but who says you? Only you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Sandra Barris, one more time.
Yes, thank you. When my mother had not quite been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but we suspected it, we contacted the Alzheimer's Association, and they said to give her the test of drawing a clock. So this is what happened. It's called the clock shoe. Mother can't remember who I am. Talks in riddles, shifts place and time mid-sentence. Her body looks the same. Her face under a tent of tidy gray hair, sweet, alert, yet wild-eyed. Of the memories we shared and used to laugh about, I have my half only. She thinks she's in trouble with her mother for staying out too late with a girlfriend, both long dead. Today, when I visit Mother, she opens the door a crack. She calls me aside to ask, "Who is that man? He's very nice, and I don't want to hurt his feelings," as she points to my father. But I really must have him leave now. They've been wed for 50 years. I give her that simple Alzheimer's test, the task of drawing a clock face with paper and pencil, but she ponders, a clock? And stalls. I could draw a violin, she says. A clock sits on the table in front of her, and she deftly draws a shoe. A clock shoe. We laugh and begin a new set of memories that will last her only for minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sue Fagaldi Lick.
You got it.
I got it.
I love the clock shoe. I think we need a laugh. This is called memory care. The aides serve ice cream every day, and every day the residents are surprised at this new treat. Handed bowls of vanilla scooped from tubs, they stare at the white mounds floating there. Some poke it with dirty fingers, spilling ice cream over the sides, while others bend and lick it like a cat. Some just set it down. One man, we'll call him Frank, with just one tooth, grabs a handful, makes a snowball, and throws it at the TV set, where it slithers down the screen over Haas on the old Bonanza show. Bingo, cries an old lady with an ice cream mustache.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful. The last is Renee Terry now I can't say it. Renee Terry Mucci. And
will be better than what I've been called before.
She'll be our last reader.
The way it's spelled, sometimes they say Reenie Mucky.
Okay.
That's really bad.
Oh,
so this one, and again, this is such a wonderful, wonderful platform that you have for all of us to, I am nervous to watch this back because I tried to look semi-decent and I have not looked decent throughout the whole thing. Everything just makes me cry. I lost my mom in 2019. I lost my husband in 2020. And so this is a recent poem called Set It Down. And it's not just about dementia, but it's about the strength that we as the caregivers to our loved ones, that we have to carry on every day. Life is heavy. Set it down. There is no need to carry around all we struggle every day, remembering all we had to say. For as we travel through our life, we will encounter pain and strife. Addressing each still as they come, we'll find resolve, at least with some. yet others will remain and stay, returning for another day. It's those that we must find a place and then somehow move on with grace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful poem to conclude with. I do have some comments to say just thank you for attending this All's Authors Live event. It was really moving and meaningful. And I'm sure when people see the video and listen to the recording on the podcast, we're going to reach many, many more hearts and souls, and your words will live on that way. So that's really something to look forward to. So details for our future events are posted on our website and are emailed to our followers. And you can be among the first to know everything new at All's Authors as a subscriber to our weekly newsletter. I will be adding everyone here to our subscriber list, and you are free to unsubscribe at any time if you choose to. I think that this event was a success, and we will most likely do it again next Poetry Month. So we can look forward to that. Be sure to visit our blog, our podcast, bookstore, and shop at allsauthors.com to find more resources for your dementia journey or for someone you know who may also be having the experience. Our whole platform is about sharing. So we count on others to help share for us. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We share a wealth of resources for the dementia journey. Feel free to use them, to share them, to use them for your own content on your own platforms. We want people to remember that you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Thank you so much for being here. Anybody have any?
Thank you so much.
Let's all clap because it was so great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was so great.
Appreciate being a part of this.
Yeah, I'm glad you came.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, we didn't know what to expect, right, Anne?
We had no idea, but with poets, it's always something special.
Yeah, so. It was very special, I think. Yeah, I just can't wait
beautiful words.
Yes, I can't wait to publish it. And, through most of the books in our collection are not poetry. So we know that the value of storytelling and sharing experiences through words is so important to people on the journey, even the ones who don't know it yet. So we really appreciate having you all here and sharing your stories. They are just so inspiring and incredible. Some of the stories here are just absolutely incredible. So thank you all.
I'd love to
thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'd love to add that poetry really does capture the inexpressible and the emotions that you deal with when you're dealing with Alzheimer's. That is one of the things that is hard to just grasp. And so poetry is such a wonderful way to really share that. So thank you so much for everyone sharing.
And if I can add something, you just made me think of this. Poetry is its own language in a sense. There are no periods, commas. It's its own space, and yet we can still understand so profoundly. And like Alzheimer's has its own language, and we write our own. Everyone, you know what I'm saying. And so yet we can find a way to connect, just like with poems. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia, an All's Authors podcast. For more details on this episode, please see the show notes. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to it on whichever platform you use to listen to your favorite podcasts. For more information on All's Authors, please visit allsauthors.com. While you're there, be sure to browse our online bookstore, where you will find hundreds of carefully vetted books on Alzheimer's and dementia. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please email your thoughts on the podcast to allsauthors@gmail.com. We are a 501c3 charitable organization, totally reliant on donations to do what we do. If our authors' stories move you, please consider contributing to our cause. Remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony.